Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bubble Pod. On this episode, I'm going back to more digital marketing platforms where I'm going to be talking about maximizing your Performance Max campaigns. But before I start, as always, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe if you are streaming and listening on a podcast channel. And if you're on YouTube, hello YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell notification so you can be updated on our weekly episodes that come out. So for those that you don't know what Performance Max is, it's one of the key new product platforms that came out from Google Ads. So if you're running Google Ads or any PPC kind of campaigns, you'll know that over time we used to have shopping campaigns and manual shopping campaigns. Then Google introduced smart campaigns, and then we had smart shopping campaigns. And last year they introduced Performance Max campaigns. And Performance Max, just to summarize, it complements your existing keyword-based campaigns in terms of your search campaigns on Google. But the goal is letting advertisers, agencies, businesses increase their conversions across Google's range of advertising channels. So Performance Max incorporates all of Google's ad platforms. So that's YouTube, display, Gmail, search, discovery, and maps. So they're all the core services, platforms, campaigns you can run across Google. You can run them individually, but Performance Max brings it all together. Now, last year we started running these for our clients and campaigns. Anyone who works in the, agency world, works with Google or any Google agency will know that Performance Max campaigns are a lot more easier to set up. You require a lot more assets. There's different assets you have to break them down into. Those assets can be broken down as you would structure, let's say, a search campaign. So if you are an e-commerce site selling furniture, you might create a Performance Max campaign focused on one area of that furniture, for example, tables and dining tables and stuff like that. So you would then break that into, you'd have a Performance Max campaign focused on, let's say, dining tables or tables, and you would break that down into, dining tables, chairs would have its own asset group. You would have cabinets or like side tables, elements, anything that comes under that kind of category that you create within your e-commerce, like all these products fall within that specific category. You would create into different assets. In those assets, you would align it to specific audience and specific keywords that's related to, and then you would introduce specific product images and videos towards that whilst coming up with specific headlines. It's not like a generic search campaign where you go in and you can create broad match, exact match, or phrase match keywords, and you can continuously create different responsive search ads with like 15 headlines and 4 descriptions. No, it's very, very more simplistic. The focus of Performance Max is all about automation. Google is automating its platform. Performance Max is its key automated AI-driven campaign. That's it. It's as simple as that. So the strategy and element comes down to understanding, well, how does Performance Max campaigns work? Understanding, well, actually how to structure and build a specific Performance Max campaign, but also understanding, well, actually, and I'll get into, is that the key element about Performance Max campaign is it's all down to the creative. It's all down to the message, the content you create. The key thing, what we found, and I got some stats here, that's why I always have my laptop open, is even though it's been around about coming up to a year now with Performance Max campaigns, I would say May 2022 is when Performance Max, if my memory recall is good enough, is when it was kind of like introduced. Then that's when it happened. And what retail advertisers seen on Performance Max is an average of 12% increase in conversion value. And not conversions, conversion value, or the same or better return on ad spend in terms of ROAS when upgrading from a smart shopping campaign. And this information and this data is taken directly from Google itself. So it is working. what we've seen is that, yes, it's working for our e-commerce clients. We have a lot of new e-commerce clients come in, and the first campaign we set them up with is their Performance Max campaign. And then we support that with specific broken out search campaigns. And then what we do is we try to take the data out of the Performance Max campaigns, which channels and platforms, i.e. Google, Gmail, display, discovery, is working best. And then we create individual campaigns from that. To focus on what works best to get the highest ROAS and return on investment. But when you are running campaigns, it's understanding that Performance Max works completely different. It's all about what I just said then, content. What we found with our clients is that clients that have good video as well as good imagery perform better than clients that have basic imagery and not enough videos, because Performance Max, if you don't have video content, will create a video for you using your image assets. And that's not ideal, specifically if your image assets have different messages and different elements, or you're running a specific generic campaign and you're including a lot of products. You're not really getting across in that video then, or as a pre-roll YouTube ad, or whatever it is as the platform comes across, whether it's on display, it's not going to really come across as well. That's why the asset creation, in terms of actual, when I mean assets, in this case I mean the creative assets, is the most fundamental part of Performance Max campaigns. The better the ad, the message, the creative, the better the performance. And that's what we've seen over the last 8 to 12 months, specifically across clients. Not only that, even though Performance Max campaigns was introduced to replace smart shopping campaigns and focus on, businesses and advertisers focus predominantly on e-commerce, we've been running Performance Max campaigns for our B2B clients and seeing amazing, impressive results. We have one of our clients, the aesthetics doctor, which you could say is a hybrid between, it is still B2C, but it's all lead generation still. So it's getting people to book an appointment and inquire about an appointment. In January, we achieved 4950 leads on the website. In February, which has just gone, we achieved 71, but just a £200 increase. Now that's an increase of 21 leads month on month with just an increase in spend of just £200. I need to caveat, seasonality plays a part. December was a very, very low performing month, and there was recovery in January. So we're interested to see what the March figures come into. I'm not just going to say, look, month on month, it's fantastic and growing and better. But since we introduced Performance Max campaigns back in September, I think in our first month, we achieved 15 to 20. So now we're on 70, and we're on our target to increase spend to get over 100, which is what the client wants, 100 new customers coming through the website each month. And on our B2B clients as well, specifically, we've been running Performance Max campaigns. And what we found is some very, very interesting results in terms of actually compared to search, the spend is less and the conversion rate is a lot higher. There is a lot more impressions and clicks, and the click-through rate is slightly lower than, let's say, search campaigns. But what we are finding is that actually the more we do and the more the AI learns, the more results are driven. And it all comes down to how well that message is communicated, as well as how well you break down those assets in your campaign build. So it's all about adopting it. So what we found, and I have some more statistics here, that a lot more people are adopting Performance Max campaigns, and in the UK more so than in the US. So in the US, 75% of those using Google Ads are using Performance Max campaigns, with 25% using standard shopping. So you'd say 3 in 4, essentially. People, businesses, agencies are using it. In the UK, 84% are using Performance Max campaigns. We jumped onto it straight away because we knew, and this is the thing with Google, is every time Google launches a new product or invests into a new campaign type or platform or updates to its platform, the top engineers tend to work on that. So we did the switch from Smart to Performance Max a lot quicker because we knew we'd get the historical learnings over a period of time quicker and better. We'd learn more from the platform. And more importantly, we know that in the back end, the top engineers are always working on the newer products. And what happens is the legacy products like Smart Shopping or Standard Shopping don't get as much support anymore in terms of updates or improvements to how that algorithm or how that campaign type works. So just bear that in mind as well. So some Google launches out a new campaign type, always test it as soon as you can if you have the budget, or take out existing campaigns, because that learnings will dictate how well you do over time. So 84% adoption in the UK compared to 75% adoption in the US. Now, how is it going to benefit your business? This is what it all comes down to. And it's going to benefit your business in three ways. It's going to increase conversions and conversions value. I mean, I'm not a fan of Google becoming very, very automated, but this campaign type seems to be bringing in results. You're going to help find new and high value customers based on the data that we're seeing. And you're going to gain richer insights. And the final element to that is optimizing creatives for performance. So it will require you to create more creative assets, breaking down your different products and services and understanding them and communicating them in a more simplistic, sophisticated way, instead of just doing the long form, lead gen forms across social media with the long text on LinkedIn ads, etc. You're going to have to focus on optimizing towards better headlines, descriptions, images, and videos, which consolidates all those assets and delivers it across the Performance Max campaign. But we're here to talk about maximizing your performance. So now that we've talked about how it works and some of the insights and data, there's 4 things you can do to maximize your performance. And the first one's going to seem obvious. Know your goals. What it is you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to increase brand awareness, then I wouldn't say run a Performance Max campaign, because it's there to replace smart shopping campaigns. It's there to help increase conversion value. So if you're focused on top end of the funnel in terms of ranging things, that's not the goal for you. Then do stuff like YouTube and display as a programmatic and prospecting element. That would work better. But know your goal. Know exactly what conversion goal you want to optimize towards. In Google, you can do primary conversion goals and secondary conversion goals. So your primary conversion goals will be complete, basket complete, purchase successful. You also want in primary or potentially secondary, depending how your company works or how you want to do it, is add to basket value. So you can retarget from that element on a separate from a separate strategy. That way, the automation within the platform will know what it is or what the goal is that you're trying to achieve, and will have that in its mind when it's going out and delivering your ads to who it thinks is the right customers. Make sure you link your data. Feeding existing first-party data into Google Ads account is going to deliver better reach in terms of the audiences with similar characteristics and behaviors, and also it'll help the platform understand who you consider are your high-value customers, and also help unlock new growth and new segments that you might not have considered. So if you have existing customer data, upload that and introduce that into Performance Max campaigns. You will see a significant increase in performance, because you're telling the AI, this is who I'm trying to attract. And it'll say, okay, I know what your goal is. I know who you're trying to attract. And then the AI kind of takes over. We talked about assets a lot, and it's really, really important. So there's assets in terms of like what you would call ad groups if it was a search campaign. So what you do is once you create a Performance Max campaign, as I mentioned earlier, you've got different assets. You want to pool and then you've got your creative assets. So assets and creative assets. A little confusing, annoying. Sometimes the words get blurred. I understand. Even I've done it, I think, on this podcast already, is what it is. But the more pooling your assets together is better, because it gives the machine learning a steer to ensure that which have what we call a rich pool of assets. That way, the Performance Max campaign, the automation, the algorithm behind it can combine more elements together to create more relevant ads. So it's making sure that your conversions are more likely to happen when you break out into specific assets. Don't go too niche, but don't be too broad either. It's finding that fine line, but make sure that you have enough creative assets within that asset to be able to allow the algorithm to pull those assets together to create rich content to push out towards it. And that's why video and creative is key. And lastly, take an overview. I always talk about this. Take an overview is essentially saying, analyze the data, look at the reports, look at the trends, deep dive, delve into the detail, the automation insights that Performance Max gives you. Look at the unique views and impressions and clicks and conversions from different multiple channels, and then understand, right, we're seeing better conversions or better traction from our video assets. So we need to create more video assets because it's helping us. Or we're not seeing the uplift from people clicking through our image assets. So we need better creative, better images. Or is it the headlines itself? Which platforms are working better? What's the breakdown by click-through rate, by cost per acquisition, by conversion value, by return on ad spend? All this data and insights will help you understand how to improve your next campaign or upgrade or improve your tactics within Performance Max campaigns to just get better results. But I've highlighted this probably 3-4 times. I'm just going to summarize by saying the key element you need to have is creative assets, good images and video, and having that content across Performance Max is the key to success or to failure. What we found with clients is as we improve those, or we get them to bring in, do more designs, better images, better video content, and again, for 5 to 6 seconds, max 8 to 10, consider YouTube pre-roll in stream. Audience, attention span is a lot lower and they want shorter videos. Make sure that asset is great, because ultimately, and I've had this with a couple of clients where they say, just use these assets, and we've had to do something. And then they expected great results, but they got average results, I would say. We could have done better, but the reason for it wasn't to do with the build. It wasn't to do with the upload of data. It was to do with the message. How good was the message? Remember, consumers are, open. We see I don't know how many ads. I don't know what the statistics are anymore, but we see that many ads per day that how are you going to stand and differentiate yourself out to other things that customer might come in contact with, another ad or message, because they also know they're in market. You're not going to be the only furniture client. You're not going to be the only cosmetic client. You're not going to be the only accessory client, or whatever it is you do. You're not going to be the only one in market using that platform, using that tactics, trying to get that audience's attention. You're going to be competing with others. And the best way to compete is to stand out. You're bidding for the same elements. The best way to stand out is through your creative message. And we did this test. Once we got better creative from the clients at the same level of spend, we saw, I think it was a 17% increase in the first month in conversion numbers and a significant increase in conversion value. I actually had this debate with a client on different platforms, social media, where they said that image still converts well compared to video. So we did a training session with them and we looked at some of the existing results. And in one campaign, we would run in a test. Image ads versus video ads. The image ads had a higher volume of conversions compared to the video creative. So the client straight away said, well, look, and it had a lower cost per conversion. So the client straight away said, oh, look, told you image does better. But I said, well, we haven't deep dived into the data. So when we looked at the conversion value, there was only £1,000 difference between the image ad and the video ad. And the video ad had like 60 less conversions and a slightly higher cost per conversion. So what I did was look at the impressions and reach. So realize that actually the reach to achieve that was around about 5,000. But for the images, it was around about 50,000. So it was like a 90% decrease in terms of the reach that it had. So the conversion rate from impression and click to actual conversion was significantly higher. The average order value was a whole 20% higher for less conversion. So I went back to the client when we did the analysis and told her how this is stuff we look at. I said, look, you looked at that at the top line and just thought, well, the image is working better because it's got more conversions and a lower cost per conversions. But actually the video is more valuable because it's delivering a higher average order value, a better conversion rate. So the data would show that if I put more of that money into video instead of images, okay, we would have had less conversions. We actually would have ended up with a higher conversion value and a better return on ad spend and a better conversion rate. So it's how do you actually deep delve down? And that's why I stress video. Performance Max is all about good quality content. Make sure you have good quality content to do it. Otherwise, you are basically running a campaign with one hand tied behind your back. That is the most important element of the build. The assets, the videos, the headlines, the descriptions. That is the difference between success and failure. Hopefully, for that 20 minutes, you've found that topic interesting. There is a blog supporting this where I've deep dived into more information. That'll be on our website when this episode launches as well. It'll be called Maximizing Performance Max Campaign. So do check out, and we'll put a link of that into the YouTube video. So do visit our website, or do visit, if you are watching YouTube, do click on that link. That'll give a full breakdown of everything I've discussed, but in a lot more detail, and links to the sources where I got my information statistics from. So thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. And if you're on YouTube, again, don't forget to subscribe and press on the bell notification. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Don't forget to tag us at Bobble Digital and use the hashtags Mr. Bobble. I know I don't really introduce myself as Mr. Bobble anymore, but if you look at all the creatives, I am. Hashtag AskBobble and hashtag BobblePod. Thank you for joining us, and I can't wait to catch up with you on our next podcast.